If you get close to him, he'll just open his mouth. That's why they call him cottonmouth. Cottonmouth, you know, water moccasin.
Hello! Today is Wednesday, January 31st. And we are in Naples trying to get to the old part of town. We wanted to check it out and yeah, just look at the town. And yeah, we're just enjoying the sun today. So this is the 5th Avenue in Naples. We passed the stores, just kept going and yeah, got into the neighborhood. So there's some nice houses to look at, but also there's a nice little parking lot at the end of the street right over here, and there's beach access, and it's seriously, it's not a long walk, it's just like on the boardwalk a few seconds and then you're right at the beach. It's so pretty and so close by. And parking is $2.50 for 1 hour.
Ooh, these are cool. Perfect. Perfect. The beach here in Naples, very nice. So we met up with Brian again and went out to a trailhead here now, where we hopefully see some alligators and a bunch of herons and other birds. Wow. Oh ja. Bewegt sich auch.
Yeah, he's 9 feet, maybe 10. Okay, look, let me teach you some tricks. I'm all geeked out on this wildlife. I can teach you all kind of weird stuff about it. So, people always look at an alligator and they go, "Oh man, it was like this long or that long," but like it's always embellished, like fishing stories, you know.
How do you know?
So, the distance in inches between the top of their eye and the nostrils, not the tip of their nose, the nostrils that they stick up. The distance in inches is pretty much dead on how long they are in feet. So if you look at between the distance between the eyes and the nostrils and go, "Oh man, that's like 10 inches," then it's a 10-foot gator. You know, it's still it's an estimate, but it's, you know, it's a good way of doing it when you can't see the whole body and estimating feet. Now this bird right here is called an anhinga, or a water turkey. People call them snake birds. Anhinga is the Indian name, but they don't have oil on their feathers like ducks and other stuff. You know, they say it's like, we have a saying in America called like water off a duck's back. Yeah. People who can, like, you tease them, they're like, they just blow things off. They say like water off a duck's back. Well, these things don't have the glands and put oil on their feathers, because when they swim, you only see their head above the water. So it looks like a snake going through the water. Their head pokes out, and you'll see them doing this here, you know. And so what happens is you'll see them out there drying their wings, because when they get out, they usually literally use their wings like they're flying underwater, and they're quick underwater, and they catch fish, spear them. Then when they get out there, they have to dry out or they can't fly. So they can flutter up like a chicken to someplace, but then that's it. So he's drying his wings right now. See how they're facing the sun? That's the shadow. Yeah. Turn right to the sun, getting it all done. And then if any chicken can fly, there's a cormorant as a seabird that looks very similar. It just has a hook on the tip of its beak instead of it's straight like these are. And I think there's a white patch on their chest or something. I can't remember. A crocodile, you'll see some of the teeth from the bottom jaw coming up. So the teeth will be like this, where alligators are like this. You know what I mean? So that's what they're explaining here or whatever. You notice by the scales, that's one real noticeable thing that's kind of obvious that you can look at right off the bat, and you'll always know based on that if you can see their teeth.
Yeah.
So we're
this big shell.
So if you want to find animals and things, they can be anywhere, but there's, you got to think like an animal to find an animal. If you were that animal, where would you be? Well, sometimes it's hard because you're not that animal. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna help you out here and say that animals, if they're in the water, you oftentimes don't see them because most of their body will be underwater, or they'll be all the way underwater. Or snakes will be easier to hide, things like that you won't see them. So look at the water's edge. Somewhere in that first few feet of exposed areas where the sun's hitting, you know what I mean? They'll come out to get into the sun. It's a little later in the day, so most reptiles will be kind of warmed up. The gators will be out, but snakes and things will warm up earlier in the day, and then they tend to stay out of sight most of the day. But just look at the water's edge. Look around where areas where that transition between water and land, those few feet is where a lot of stuff tends to hang out. You know what I mean? And then generally just look for things that don't fit, like shapes that stand out, things like that there, and you'll find stuff. But just be observant. You'll find stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if I could get down there, which I could, but I'm not gonna. If you get up on him, I found one of these just the other morning, a big black one when I was out python hunting. And if you get close to him, he'll just open his mouth. That's why they call him cottonmouth. Cottonmouth, water moccasin. Either one, the names are interchangeable, but that's why they call them a cottonmouth. They open their mouth when they're when they're babies. See, when they get really big adults, they look almost black because they get darker and darker. This one's young. When they're babies, the pattern's even more distinct. And when they're little babies, the tip of their tail is bright yellow. Oh, wow. So I've found them. I've got pictures at my house of ones I found at night when I'm hunting for different stuff, and they'll curl up and they'll hang the tail over the top of them like this. So this is their body curled up, and they'll have the tail like this. And if there's a lot of leopard frogs around, which is a type of frog that you'll see at night a lot around here, then they'll wiggle it like this here, and the leopard frogs go to eat it. And so they attract the frogs with the tip of their tail and eat the frogs. So that's how they hunt when they're little babies, and then they grow and they eat whatever they can eat. So they'll even eat Cuban brown tree frogs, which not many things eat them because the skin is an irritant. The only reason I know they eat them is I stuck one in a box I had with a water moccasin in it, and the water moccasin ate it, which I didn't think it would. I was surprised. I wanted to keep the frog, right? But
didn't happen.
So I came back 5 minutes later, and it was halfway down. Its feet were hanging out of its mouth, and it swallowed up.
Eli is tired. He sat down with a big ol' and now the candy cane has to suffer. He's eating it. Shall we get going, Eli?
Yes.
Okay, let's go find some more snakes. Brian also just said if you get bitten by the cottonmouth or the water moccasin, it's not like you have 30 seconds to get the antidote, the anti-venom, but you can take your time, get to the hospital. It just hurts a lot, and you might be sick for a few weeks if you don't get killed by it.
Oh man, I can hardly keep up here. Okay, there's an owl back there. Right there, sitting there.
Oh, there's another one of the birds.
See, that's what they look like in the water. See, then it goes under here. Watch, it'll pop up again, and oftentimes you'll see bubbles where he goes because there's methane.
Yeah, come on. Why did you do?
No, come on, you don't want an alligator to get
What
mad at
is
you.
that
Come on.
where the alligators are?
That's a small one. He's cute. American bittern. Huh. That is interesting.
Okay, the painted bunting is a little bird like this long. Looks like a finch or something, but it's like blue, yellow, red. It looks like parrot colored. It's like amazing. But she said, look. Ooh, and look at the lighting. That's a great shot.
Oh, yeah,
He's a chunk missing.
That's a beautiful. I got one of those skulls at the house.
Oh, yeah,
He looks like a pirate. Where's it? He looks like a pirate.
he's a pirate.
It's funny, huh?
That's a great shot with that lighting. Sure. Keep walking. They'll let you get relatively close. Those are all fish scales.
So you got some
Fish scales, little fish bones.
from fish.
So these are the footprints of the otters. There's some toe prints right here, and there's the whole paw.
He's holding still.
Yeah.
Holding stills, they do that really good.
It's funny.
Man, those positions I could have moved up and managed.
He just caught a fish.
Just meant more travel.
So that was a great afternoon we had here with Brian walking around. We didn't see as many alligators, but that's okay. We saw two. and we saw a lot of birds. We saw a snake, we saw a couple of otters. That was well worth it. I mean, that's awesome about Florida here, the wildlife and things you can see when you open your eyes, and really enjoy it. And just meeting friends again and seeing old friends. It's, like I've said before, one of the best things about this trip. I love it.